Okay, good evening, everybody. It's February 10th, and this is the Town of Rhinebeck regular town board meeting. Would everybody please stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of our prior minutes for January 27th, 2025 regular town board meeting?
Motion.
Thanks. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dana. Any comments, questions, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Is community choice aggregate here? Okay, I guess we'll come back to that. We were supposed to have a presentation tonight from Jewel. If not, we can talk to it briefly and let you know what's happening with community choice. I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes. We received a grant, Suzanne, Kelly received a grant for the cemetery to eradicate all invasive species in the natural cemetery and replant indigenous perennials like mayapple and trillium and jack in the pulpit that will naturalize and spread. So that's a really happy thing, and I don't know if everyone's been back there, but you should because it's beautiful. So thanks, Suzanne, that's a great grant. We will come up to this later in the meeting, but have formed a communications committee with Chris Traver and Debbie Hecht and Beth Comstock, with myself and Dana on it. And the purpose of this committee is to help us get more information out to the public. The committee will help us write newsletters and push out informations and give us speaking engagements or meetings at any public place for any group, for anyone who wants to talk to us in any kind of informal setting other than a town board meeting. So we will notice these meetings so that board members can attend and talk, even though we will not be conducting any business. We'll be listening and chatting. So our first town communications committee hosted meeting will be a town board community meeting called Whining and Wine. Wine and Wine. You can either want whichever wine you want first. Tuesday, March 4th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Morton Library. All are welcome, and our clerk has noticed the meeting as a public meeting, although we will not be conducting business. I have also called a special town board workshop meeting for workforce housing for Thursday, this Thursday the 13th at 12 p.m. I apologize for the late meeting in the middle of the day. It's to accommodate Warren Raplansky, Charlie Montalbano, who's Kem Carney's attorney, our engineer, their engineer, our planner, their planner. It's for the town board to go over all of the letters that we've received from all of the interested agencies, all the comments, and to come up with our response and continue working on laying down the local law. So it's open to everybody, and it'll be here Thursday the 13th at 12 p.m. Additionally, your town and county taxes are due by February 28th without a fee, and you pay in person at town hall or you pay by mail. And lastly, we are noticing a public meeting on Tuesday, the 11th of March at 6 p.m. at the Morton Library. Bob Wyant and I will be presenting, along with Labella Associates, a proposed parking plan for the hamlet in Rhinebeck. So again, we're going to notice the meeting so that town board members can attend, but the purpose of the meeting is to discuss the parking plan that Labella came up with for the hamlet. Just so everyone knows, there's currently no codified parking. No, there are no parking rules anywhere in the town, so we can neither enforce nor ticket until we write and adopt parking laws. Okay, I think that's it. Anybody else have any announcements? Or? No, wait, we have a, yeah?
Oh, no, I second it.
Okay, I just think, I don't know what happened to our community choice aggregate. Let's just get to that when we get to it then, right? Okay, tab 2. May I have a motion for 2025-058, accepting Labella concept plan for Rhine Cliff parking?
Motion.
Thank you, Chad. May I have a second? Alan?
Second. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say that we announced this and then got a flurry of almost hysterical emails from people urging us not to accept the plan. If we don't accept the plan, there's nothing to discuss. This is a plan for parking, and it's for discussion only, and we intend to have community input, community discussion, revisions, and more discussion. Anybody else?
Well, it's the next step to move toward getting things settled in parking law so we can codify it and enforce it. And that's what we're working toward.
Yeah. Dana?
I just wanted to say, I know that Rhinecliff has been an absolute ticking time bomb on this. Everyone's furious at being the de facto Amtrak parking lot, and everyone wants their Hamlet back. And as we all know, we can't ticket or tow right now. Like right now, we are stuck. And this is a process, and this is just the next step. And I know people are reacting out of kind of deep concern and a love for their hamlet. And I love that. And the good news is everyone's already interacting granularly with all the proposals, and we'll have many wonderful things to say, but just please know, like, this is just the first step to getting to the finished process or product. And I just want to say thank you, because this is a thankless task, and I hope everyone, upon reflection, is able to come and be very productive at the town, at the
Thanks,
Hamlet
Dana.
meeting.
Yeah, the flip side of this is that we do nothing, and it becomes a de facto lot. So it's posted on our website. We have 3 poster board size maps that we need to get mounted, but there'll be one in Town Hall, there'll be one at the Morton, and one at the Star. So everybody should look at it. I think something that triggered a lot of people were proposed one-way streets. That wasn't our idea, that was our highway superintendent and our traffic engineer's idea. Due to street widths, we can't have parking on streets unless they're one-way. If we do away with the one-way streets, that's fine, but we'll have absolutely almost no parking, which means that if you have a dinner party, no one will have a place to park. But we can discuss it, and
Yeah, and I think, like, there are lots of creative solutions, and the wonderful thing is, I've already heard a lot of these very specific responses, and I think all of these can be successfully addressed, and we should just take a deep breath and move forward to
as
that
long
point
as
where
we
we
stay
address
calm
things.
and cordial. Otherwise, we don't really have to move ahead. We can just leave it as it is. But we're looking forward to working with everyone and hope that everyone comes with a positive and open mindset.
So I have a question. The diagrams are all color-coded, but what we've got is black and white. I assume they're in color on the
And I
website.
just said they were on the web, and
I'm asking if what's on the web
yes,
is color.
yep, they're
Okay.
colored, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because the color code in black and white doesn't do much for us, but yeah.
I thought it was colorblind.
And that too, right? Oh, is that Glenn?
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
We're just going to finish this, then we'll come to you. So although we got about 80 emails telling us to reject the parking plan, I'm asking the board to accept it so that we can start discussing it.
Yep.
Are there any additional questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Rhinecliff. We'll try and figure this out. Glenn just came in and he went out, so let's give him a moment and we'll continue on. I need a motion for resolution 2025-059 for the Parsonage Street Bridge Grant per Christian Paggi's email of the 24th of January.
Motion.
Thank you, Chad, and Dana, I'll take you second. This is a state grant? Is it a TIP grant? A TAP
Tip
grant?
grant. It's a
TIP,
tip grant.
yep. We need somewhere between $2.5 to $3 million to replace the Parsonage Street Bridge in the village. Bridges can't be owned by villages, only towns. So we own it, even though it's in the village. It's been flagged by New York State and needs to be replaced. The village is working on a safe route to school, safe route to school, and need to replace sidewalks with handicap accessibility. But we have to get the bridge replaced before they can put the sidewalks in over the bridge. So we've been rejected, I think, 2 or 3 times by the state for a grant on a bridge that they flagged and said needs to be replaced. So we're hoping maybe we'll get some money here. There's a 20% matching funds from the town, which will come from our fund balance, our general fund balance. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously, and I want to thank our highway superintendent for being so proactive about going after other grants. Okay, I'll make a motion for tab 4, resolution 2025-060 for the creation of a communications committee. May I have a second? Thanks, Alan. Any comments or questions? Again, this is a committee of Debbie Hecht and Chris Traver and Beth Comstock, working with Dana and I and anyone else who wants to help us get out more information about what we're doing, make ourselves more accessible to people beyond town board meetings. And yeah, Chris, you guys want to talk or say anything?
No, it's a great thing to be able to do, to make sure that the outreach is there and it's personal. And we plan to do a lot of in-person things as well as email communication. So we're looking forward to stepping up, and this should be a regular thing.
Thank you. Debbie?
Yeah, I mean, it's really
Why don't you come up?
Oh, sure. Thank you. You want to come up?
Yeah, go ahead, go up. Debbie Hecht and Chris Traver of our newly, well, not yet, soon to be formed communication committee.
Really what we seek to do is to open up the channels of communication between the town board and the whole of the Rhinebeck community, in the belief that that good governance and civic involvement really do go hand in hand. And by, inviting the whole community into conversation with you, we also hope to engage people in the Rhinebeck community who might not otherwise be engaged in their local politics. So I think it's really important that they learn from you about what's going on in the town. Maybe they feel inspired to come to some town meetings and so on. But also this gives you an opportunity to learn from them and hear what's going on in their experience in, living in the town of Rhinebeck.
Thank you.
And just to add, I think it's a good thing to show approachability, which this town board is saying they are approachable, and that the town's people can understand the good work that you do. As a relatively new person to this town, I had no idea how much work you all put into making this town work really well. And one of the things that we want to see as citizens is a very professionally run town, and the administration of it being done professionally. And that's a real bonus for the citizens here. And they need to hear it, and they should be well aware of what a great work you're doing there.
Well, we hope so. Thank you. It's a big help for us, so we're very appreciative.
Good.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say that this is, you're leading by example, and it's my hope that everyone in Rhinebeck looks around and says, how can I make this town better, and steps forward and tries to pick up with things that they can do to be helpful and join in. So thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, wine and wine,
So
whining and whining.
You'll be at that event.
Yes, we'll be at that event supporting the
Fundraising and
Elizabeth and Lance, some Q&As.
I
do a little dance
trying to
show.
follow the name though, because I came up with wine and cheese with the H in there, but then we were worried that it would just be complaining and cheese, and we decided complaining and wine was better, so that was Elizabeth's tweak on it. But so wine and cheese is me. These guys are the more serious professional people.
Any opportunity to whine.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from the town board or anybody? concerns? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks again, guys. Thank you. All right, let's go back to our Glenn here is from Jewel, Glenn Weinberg. Did I get that right?
Weinberg, yes.
Sorry, Glenn. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
You guys, we entered into a community choice aggregate with Jewel. It'll be 2 years in June.
Right.
And what the community choice aggregate is, it's a buying consortium of about 14 municipalities, and we all band together to buy 100% renewable energy that is then delivered to you through Central Hudson at a set price for 2 years. So we opt all of our residents into this, and our residents have to be proactive in opting out if they want to be opted out. We're waiting for new pricing to come through, which will be on the 19th.
Exactly.
But this is a non-binding memo of understanding that Jewel is asking us to sign in advance of the pricing coming in, so that we can, the board will allow me to then sign the binding resolution after the prices come in. Now, the problems that we've heard from people are that my electric rates have gone up. Well, if you're in the community choice aggregate, your electric rates have not gone up. They've been stable for a year and a half. What has gone up is Central Hudson's delivery charge. And I believe that's across the board for everything. We opted you into 100% New York State renewable at 12.5 cents a kilowatt hour.
Just below, just 12.2.
12.2. And that was a year and a half ago when Central Hudson was at about 9 cents. But in the past 2 years, they've been everywhere from 22 cents to 5 cents. So the average is very close to the 12.2 cents. And then there's another 100% renewable, which is called 50/50. Because although it is all green energy from non-fossil fuel sources, it's not all produced in New York State. Half of it is produced in New York State and half of it is produced outside of New York State. This seems a little bit more appealing to me because it's about 1 cent less. It was at about 11.2 next year, and we're thinking that the prices will come in close. So, I don't know, Glenn, why don't you take it away and chat? And
That was terrific. I don't even need, that was perfect. So, that's exactly right. So actually, I can give the update that we've had about, so there is a group of 15 municipalities of which the town is one, and the village actually is a new.
oh, are they joining?
They're joining,
Oh,
so
great.
they're new. They're going to be a month, so you guys are renewing in July. They'll be starting in August.
So in a different CCA or with us?
With you in the same RFP, we're hoping to keep the suppliers to give everybody the same price, even though there's a staggered start. Remains to be seen whether we're going to get all the bidders to do that. We've got confirmation that one bidder definitely will. The other one is struggling a little bit more with it, just because it makes their buying a little bit more complex. So that's the goal, especially for this situation where the town and village, in the same community. It'd be great to have everybody on the same price if they can't start at the same time. So we're hoping to keep everybody together. So yes, if that all goes well, the village will be on the same, and then you'll have the same end date of the contract. So you'll be on the same synced schedule with everybody, with all the other 14 municipalities. So that would be good.
And what was our opt-out rate? Was it about 7%?
For the town specifically, I don't have here, but that's out. It's usually somewhere between 5 and 15.
I think we were
So
around 7%.
if you have that number in your head,
yeah.
and everybody that's eligible will get a letter in the mail that will describe the program, just as the supervisor just did, all your options, the rates, including the free option to opt out should you not want to participate. If you don't want to participate, there's 3 easy ways to opt out. One is by phone, so you just call us. We maintain our own call center, so it's our staff. We train them. It's not an outsourced call center. The second would be an online form. So you go to the website and you fill out a form. It just takes a couple minutes. And the third is a prepaid postcard that comes with that letter. So if you get that and you don't want to participate, you can just send that right back in the mail. There's no postage or anything like that.
Or you can do all three.
If you
Just
can do all
make
three,
sure.
just make sure.
Belts and suspenders.
Yes, exactly. But you can opt out anytime thereafter, so that's during a window, an opt-out period before the new contract will take effect. But you can opt out anytime thereafter. There's never any fee or penalty to opt out. You can also jump back in anytime thereafter as well without any charge or anything like that. So it's a free option. It does become the default. So if you don't take action, you will be automatically enrolled. But it is, you think of it as another option. So Central Hudson is, before CCA is the default electricity supplier for anybody that would move into town. The CCA replaces Central Hudson as the default supplier.
What is their percentage of renewables in their default?
It's about 10, so it's pretty low.
So this would be 100% renewable, and it would really help us meet New York State's 2030 and 2050 climate goals, which to me personally is important. Although hi. And I want to talk about one other thing. I'm just sensitive to how people are struggling financially, and I do get a lot of calls about rates going up, but I just want to say it is not the energy rate, it is Central Hudson's delivery charge rate. Can you speak to that and about why it's gotten so egregiously high?
Yeah, so your electricity bill, well, sometimes it's really more than this because you may have a gas bill with it too, but in New York State, your electricity bill is really two bills. Your electricity supply portion and then your delivery portion. The electricity supply portion is a competitive market. It has been for over 20 years now, meaning there's always a default supplier, which in a CCA community is the default supplier selected by the town, the renewables supplier. In a non-CCA community, that would be Central Hudson. But the delivery is still a monopoly, right? So that has never been deregulated, so to speak. The delivery portion is still a monopoly. It's still always Central Hudson, no matter who you are, right? And they maintain the poles and the wires. They are the one that is responsible for resuming service when it's been interrupted or there's an outage or anything like that. And for that, there's a regulated charge that they're permitted by New York State to collect. And that's your delivery charge. So CCA does not touch that. It doesn't reduce or increase that rate. It stays precisely the same no matter who you are. And that is what has been going up. We've seen customers where the delivery charge is as much as 80% of their bill.
Why though?
So typically, what they do is when they want to charge more, they have to go to Albany and plead their case.
Why is the governor letting this happen?
Well, usually, the utilities almost always get what they want. Unfortunately, in these rate cases, sometimes Albany sort of makes them sing for their supper a little bit. But usually, almost always, the driver for the increase in delivery costs is capital expenditures. So if they have to spend to expand the distribution.
Jet plowing the Hudson to buried cables.
Well, the large transmission project is a little bit separate, but it doesn't go on Central Hudson's ledger per se. But there are other capital costs that may be related to transmission, the expansion of transmission lines, for which Central Hudson is paying, and then Central Hudson ratepayers have to share. The thing about Central Hudson is that it's a relatively small utility, both in terms of rate base and geographic footprint. So when they have a big cost, it's shared by fewer ratepayers than, say, like Con Edison, where I live, where there's 1 million ratepayers or something like that. Our delivery rates are still astronomically high too, but nevertheless, when Central Hudson has a capital cost, they have to divide it amongst all of you, and there's just fewer of you than there are, for instance, for, say, the upstate utilities like New York State Electric and Gas or National Grid.
I want to urge everybody to call Sarah Hannah-Stretch's office and Michelle Hentry's office and really complain about the delivery charges for utilities. It's making utilities unaffordable.
Borderline criminal, actually, yeah.
Yeah, just a question pertaining to both of those things. So is this a monthly thing that they can do when they go up to Albany to change it? When does it happen? Is it a public process within the legislation that people can call in and affect the people who are making those decisions as public officials to be aware that
They
they're
had,
doing
what,
it.
4 rate changes in the past 2 years?
Yeah, so it's not monthly, but it is.
Whenever they
it
want to
can
go to
be-
the till.
It can be, there's not necessarily like a regimented set thing, but it's more like an annual thing. But it has been several times recently. There is a public process. It's what's called a rate case, and you can be a party to a rate case as an individual or as a company. But you sort of have to seek that out. It's not something as easy as you're wanting it to be, whereas you call in and can kind of.
No, but it is,
Yeah.
it is a public process.
It is a
that the
public
public
process.
can step into if they're given that avenue.
Yes, there are
Okay.
hearings, and you can, just like any sort of proceeding like that takes place in Albany or any kind of public forum like that, you can participate, but I have to say it's very
It's opaque.
inaccessible.
Yeah, it's very opaque.
It's difficult for individual consumers to participate in a meaningful way.
No, but still the representatives involved in that
Call
opaque
Sarah
process
Hanna,
still
call Michelle
know that,
Hinchy,
yeah.
get outraged
Well,
and curb this.
Yes.
And knowing that timeline is also very helpful as well.
Yeah,
Call
which is
tomorrow.
also sometimes difficult to find.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you think of the rumors going, not rumors, but talk going around about turning Central Hudson into a public?
Yeah, it's a really
Great.
interesting. It's a really interesting movement.
public-
It is a reflection of, unfortunately, the public perception of their utility, which in Central Hudson Territory is pretty low. Fairly, frankly, Central Hudson has had a really rough record of billing and customer service and sort of general transparency over the last few years. They've gotten in some trouble in Albany for that and been audited, and so it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it is a surprising thing because you don't often hear about an investor-owned utility challenged that way. But it's not surprising in the sense that Central Hudson is sort of has lost, I think, in many cases, the trust of their customers. So. It remains to be seen. It's unlikely, I have to say. I mean, I'm not that close to it, but it's unlikely that an effort like that would
Yeah,
succeed.
that's what
But it is an interesting movement for sure.
So guys, this resolution is really empowering me to sign the non-binding memo of understanding, but I'm on a conference call with you guys. Is it this week or next week?
The 19th, so we'll get pricing in the morning, and then we'll get on with you guys at around noon. We'll go over the pricing and my recommendations at that point. If the pricing doesn't meet the standards that are in this MOU, we'll make a recommendation not to do
I'm
that.
kind of moving, and I don't know how you guys feel, just because it is so, every cent counts for people, that we go to the 50-50. The 50 New York State, 50 out of state, 100% renewable, which should be a little less than the 100% renewable New York State.
Sure.
It's still all renewable. This does put onus on residents for paying attention and opting out, but I think, and Eleanor, I don't know where you guys are, but I think if we support reducing our carbon footprint, we've got to do this. And, if you can't afford it, then you have to pay attention and opt out.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I completely agree with that, and I think, that it's totally available for everyone very easily to opt out. I think the concern we've heard, some people have said it's hard, and I bet that it's really just about the gap between first sending in your opt-out and when that change takes place. So if you could just speak to that so
Sure.
people understand, because the other point I was going to say is, it's also very clear that people are comparing apples to oranges, and they're not seeing that, like, really the driver here is the delivery charge, which should be the same in both cases. Is that
And-
correct? Is delivery
It's
charge the same?
precisely the same,
Yeah.
exactly. So there will be a lapse between when you sort of register your opt-out and when it's effectuated. Not if you opt out during the pre-contract period. So you're going to get a letter in May. If you opt out in May, there'll be you'll stay on Central Hudson. And by the way, if you've ever opted out of a previous contract, you won't even be on the list, right? So you won't even get a letter. You won't have to opt out a second time. But if you do opt out, say 6 months from now, there is a lapse because Central Hudson has to receive it and then effectuate the
Is
transaction.
it about 6 weeks?
It can be, it really depends on when your next meter read cycle is. So if it's close to your next meter read cycle, you're likely to stay on for that additional month, and then it'll be the following month that you'll get. But if
Be
you
a month to
say,
6 weeks.
yeah. And one thing I just want to say is that to the decision, So far, there's been a complete consensus among the municipalities, they've all gone with a 50% default. So just as a, not that that needs to influence your decision.
You were being artisanal, you were buying local.
Well, you know, it 2 years ago it made sense, but New York State needs to do better before I'm going to like support New York State 100%. They gotta step it up. You know, they really do. And to me, it's about being green, and if it doesn't all come from New York State, oh
Yep.
well, do better, New York State, you know?
That's totally fair.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, motion to, yeah.
Yeah, and
motion.
you know, we will make, every time I've gotten a phone call, we have passed people on to Jewel to get them opted out easier. So we will really avail ourselves to make the opt-out information more accessible. And when you call Jewel, it's not like being on hold for 19 days at Central Hudson. You know, it's just exaggerate just a little bit. But what do you guys think?
I agree.
All right, thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Glad we finally understand what we're doing here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. All right, so we have this on the floor, creation of a oh no, that's, did we get this on the floor? Updating CCA memo of understanding. We have a motion to update our CCA memo of understanding.
Motion.
Thanks, Chad. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. And again, you know, we're looking at the 50% renewable, 50% outside of New York State, all 100% non-fossil fuel, hoping that it comes in the low 11 cents per kilowatt hour. And then it will be a seamless change in June or July from our current CCA.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks, guys. You know, I worry about it. I worry about people are struggling financially. I mean, we'll just help people understand how they can opt out if they feel this is something they can do. But a lot of people are really grateful to have 100% green source of.
And also, it's the win in many cases, you know, it's like, you know, it's gambling, which one will be better, send 100 this, and you know, for
Well,
those who are risk averse, having a locked-in stable price is a value in and of itself. So I
Yeah.
think there's that value aside from the greenness
Yeah.
of the energy too.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Tab 6, I'd like a motion for 2025-062, accepting the amazingly fantastic HPAC handbook guide, Chauncey.
Motion. Second.
Chauncey and Alan, we, last meeting, we got a presentation from Kathy Ember and Jim Levy and Kathy Hammer and Warren Smith and Marty, I can't remember Marty's last name, all of our wonderful HVAC people. A really beautiful piece of work that was put together as guidance for historic preservation in your home in the town. So we put it out to the public. It's a non-binding guide. It doesn't have a lot of teeth to it. It's a beautiful suggestion of how you can, you know, work and still, you know, maintain the historic integrity of your property. Any further to say? We also put forward Kathy Ember and Jim Levy for a New York State Planning Award for this piece of work. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Speaking of which, I need a motion for Resolution 2025-063, submitting a letter to the New York Planning Federation for the HPAC Award for Planning for Places.
Motion.
Thanks,
Second.
Chauncey. Thanks, Alan. Any comments or questions or concerns?
I'll just add that I was asked to do a letter, I guess because I'm liaison to HAPAC and also because I'm deputy supervisor. So there'll actually be two letters. One that Elizabeth will sign on behalf, if we pass this, on behalf of the board, and one that'll be from me individually.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Again, thanks so much to HVAC and Planning for Places. Motion 2025-064, updating cell phone reimbursement policy. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks. This is basically because Brian, our zoning administrator, wants a cell phone, and the zoning administrator wasn't in approved people, but he's an enforcement officer, so should be reachable. And I think it's $28 a month. So, any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Moves unanimously, thank you. I need a motion for 2025-065.
I'm gonna motion this. Zero turn lawn mowers.
I didn't even get it out, that's
That's the
Dana.
sexiest part of this meeting. Everyone
you
thought
want
the
a
action was
second?
earlier.
You want to second it too? You can't.
I'll give someone else a little bit more.
Come on, who wants to second it?
Second.
Yeah, you do, Alan. Any comments or questions?
Give it another chance.
Do we all get to take a ride on this mower?
You ask Bobby, that's between you and our maintenance supervisor. I'm sure he will avail, yeah.
Once you're trained.
The OSHA, I want your OSHA shoes on. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Now, we want to auction off our old zero-turn radius mower. May I have a motion?
Wait, I need to know where
You
does
can
this go
buy the old
auctioned
one.
off? Do we know what website?
Yes, we do.
Oh, I don't have any grass. What am I just have trees. So never
Okay,
mind.
so may I have I need a,
I motion.
thanks, may I have a second?
Second.
You're having too much fun. All in favor of auctioning off the
Aye.
old mower, Dana, if you want to beat the highest, but I think you can get it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I need a motion to approve the lawn care contract for the recreation park.
Motion.
Thanks, Vicky. Second?
Second.
Alan, this is really for the turf around the artificial field. It's just sort of, we had a hard time getting it,
It's doing well. It just needs another
what's the
season.
word, getting it
Getting rooted and
established.
healthy, so
Yeah.
there's no mud and deterioration of what's there. It's just gonna need another year of fertilization and the skirt around the field.
Reseeded and,
It's doing great, just needs more help.
And if you want to do your part, don't do donuts on the turf field.
Yeah, yeah.
oh, you can't anymore, we put up bollards.
Yes.
We put a stop to that, but thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. I need a motion for 2025-068 for the recreation fee schedule for 2025.
Motion.
Thanks, John. May I have a second?
Second,
Thanks, Chad. Any discussion or questions?
I want to thank Carrie as the rec director to put that all together and the work she did to make sure it was adjusted as necessary. She's done a great job.
She does do a really good job, and we
So-
really, I think basically we kept the fees the same for residents, so.
It's pretty
They're-
close,
They're
yeah.
going up higher for non-residents. Residents would want to offset it, keep it as low as possible.
And we're also lengthening, like the
Oh,
pool
yeah,
hours as
we're,
well.
the season
Opening
and
it
the
earlier,
hours, yep.
So there's a lot more.
More pool for longer amount of time. You could swim earlier in the season than later in the season. Yeah, thanks to Gary and the rec committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. 2025-069, approve the recreation summer camp dates.
Motion?
Thanks, Chad.
Second.
Thanks, Alan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Again, we kept it the same. The 6 weeks, pretty much the same time, same fees. Approve the recreation pool schedule, 2025-070. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Thanks,
Second.
Chad. I'll take Alan, I guess. No, it was Chauncey and Alan. Okay, any questions or, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Approve recreation turf field use, 2025-071.
Motion?
Thanks, Chad. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dana. Again, thanks to Carrie. We're getting more and more requests to have our field rented out by non-town leagues and for camp by Steel United, which is a national for-profit organization. And if we rent it out, it helps offset the cost to replace the carpet when we need it replaced in another 10 years or so.
About that, yeah.
Yet we want to be able to provide it free of use for our residents and our kids, and we seem to have a really great balance of that going. So, and thanks to Chad and Carrie, and Steel has been a good partner. They used to be owned locally, they got taken over by a national company, and everybody seems to have enough time playing on the field, so it seems to be working out. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Motion to approve changes to the cemetery rules and regulation, 2025-072.
Motion.
Thanks. May I have a second? That's Chauncey and Allen. This is basically just defining, we have overtime. Our staff is on an 8-hour day. If there need to be burials on Saturday or Sunday or after work hours, we need to charge overtime. And I think this just moves it from 3:30 to 2 o'clock because our staff gets off at 3:30, so we need to, it's just acknowledging when overtime is for overtime burials. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved unanimously. 2025-073, I need a motion. The cemetery purchase for the gator, was that Dana?
Yeah,
That was Dana.
Gators. Dana is all gators and zero turn. It's the machinery motioner. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chance. All right, Dana, any questions, or you just want to write on?
I just want to write on it again, just letting everyone know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You want to write on the next one, Dave?
Dana, I'd like a motion to approve 2025-074, this purchase of a cemetery casket lowering device. Dana?
No.
Motion.
Second.
I'm taking Chad?
I'll go for a ride.
Chad and Alan?
One.
Okay, any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to group the next four together because they're all financial.
Yes.
2025-075, 2025-076, 2025-077, 2025-078. I will make a motion for our preliminary accounts payable abstracts, our preliminary accounts payable abstract 14 and 2, and our capital projects abstract, and our budget transfer and amendment. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Any new business for the town board? Joan, you will notice the 311 meeting at the Morton Library for discussion of the Labella parking plan for the hamlet. Thank you. Any discussion items? Any comments, concerns, questions from anyone? Eleanor, anyone in the audience?
I'm speaking as an avid patron of the Morton Library, and I think I speak for other patrons. And I was looking at the map, and it appeared that as you come out right out of the library and just go down that little hill and turn, I think that's Schatzl, where you turn uphill.
Yes.
There's a house there that has like this super wide driveway, but I think that you could still carve out a space for 2 parking places there. And when it's late at night, it's really, it's very difficult to find parking, as you know, anyway. But, at night, honestly, I don't like walking around there because I actually had a really bad experience there once, so I'd rather have a little bit of close.
Yeah, there's a law or a safety provision, you can't have parking. I just learned this, I'm learning a lot about parking provisions, 30 feet within a stop sign. So we've taken everything into consideration, and we have a lot more to consider, because I know that the Rhinecliff residents are going to have a lot of comments, but come to the parking meeting, and we want to squeeze in parking wherever we can get it, where it doesn't upset anybody. I don't know what else to say. It's going to be the biggest thing in 2025. We should be so lucky.
Thank you for bringing that up and pointing that out. I mean, it's just important, and we're addressing it as we can.
It's challenging. There's just no parking. The streets
No,
are
I know,
wide.
but
Amtrak, and I talked to Ginny last week about parking in Amtrak before the big article in the Daily Catch came out. They're still waiting for legal any year now to approve bidding it out to monetize it. So we're just challenged, but thanks.
If I can just share too, you know, one of the things when I first started talking to you after I was elected, before I was signed in, whatever it's called, sworn in, was, you know, I was talking to you about the Amtrak lot, and I was like, well, they should do this, they should do that, the other. And I was shocked by how riven the situation was with difficulties. It is a rat's nest down there, and I heard from people, oh, we can't tow out of the Amtrak lot because it's too tight. It's too tight, the tow truck can't get in there. And then they were trying to ticket, but the judge was throwing out the tickets because it has to belong to the town for tickets to take, right?
Or
So-
we need an intermunicipal agreement
Yeah, yeah.
to ticket it.
So like, it seems simple, and it's like, why can't we just throw down some no parking, you Amtrak scum signs everywhere? But it turns out that's not how lawmaking works. So there's gonna be a lot of difficult little nitty gritty, but we're all gonna be here for the little nitty gritty and just, you know, come in good spirits and all will be solved, so.
It'll be a wine and wine.
Wine and Amtrak, so.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming. I'll make a motion to adjourn unless anybody wants anything else. Second? All right, good night, everybody. We'll see you at the end of the month.